You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take a load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off. Woke up with the light, just bare like unwashed hair. Coffee washed me so I can look in the mirror. Mercury retrograde, nothing's going my way. Just so happens today's my birthday. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take the load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off. Broke up with my man, he was dragging me bad. We still live together, that month lasted forever. Now that it's over, he's acting all nice. Bought me birthday presents, if he'd done that sooner, I could have been his wife. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take a load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off. Sometimes I smoke cause I'm happy, sometimes I smoke cause I'm sad, sometimes I smoke cause it's Andy, sometimes I smoke cause I'm mad. Sometimes I need your love and sometimes I need to run to the hills. Sometimes I want somebody to give me some pills. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take a load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off. Some days are bad, some days are worse. Some days I think my life's under some kind of curse. Nothing is right and everything is wrong. What did I do to have to write this song? You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take a load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to take a load off. You know it's time. You know it's time, time, time. Time to blow some smoke off.
You're on.
Hello, and we are live on Relaxing with Rachel. It is time to take a load off. It is time
my
to
God.
blow some smoke off. That was Monica Lee from the Monica Lee Band. Thank you to her for being such an amazing musician. We are here in the studio with Madame O, Miss the Olivia Steckly from Tryst magazine, and we are so happy she is here.
Thank
Welcome,
you, thank
Olivia.
you.
Thank you for being here.
Of course, happy to be here.
Olivia and I met about 6 years ago, and we have a very interesting connection and story of how we exist.
Yeah.
And we are going to share that with you and the world and just sort of talk a little bit about some of the things we've learned in our existences because we have come from the same world,
Yeah.
kind of. In
Very
essence.
similar, very similar. Yeah.
So I personally grew up in a really Christian household, and that was really deeply something embedded in our family, in our culture. And I went to Christian school. I went to Pentecostal school and an Alliance church. I don't know if any of those things mean anything, but it was just something. I grew up in my world with these ideas about sex and sexuality and what that means.
Yeah.
And you grew up in a similar world as well.
Oh, very, very similar. Like, I know we've talked about this like 100 ways to Sunday, but it never stops kind of amazing me that we ended up where we ended up and the way we ended up, considering how our lives began and
Yeah.
like the really influential years of our lives, like how that all started and how turbulent it was in like the most conservative way possible. So,
So you grew up in Didsbury.
yeah.
Okay, so that's in Alberta.
Like
for anyone
tiny-
who's not from Canada.
Yeah, tiny rural town in Alberta of like 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Like very, very, very small. Everybody knows everybody. You're related to like half the town. It's very,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how many people were in your high school? And did you go to a Christian high school
Okay.
as well?
No. So, oh boy. I went to a private Christian school from kindergarten through to grade 10.
Yeah.
And then I somehow, by some miracle, convinced my parents to let me go to public school for grade 11 and 12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right? You already know that was just like a nightmare.
I'm just impressed because like I tried in grade 9 and I never got that far. Like I
Well-
tried and I got the effort and then I was like, yeah, right, no way, that's never happening.
Okay, well, and the funny part was that my reasoning for wanting to go to public school was that so I could really put my like Christian upbringing to the test and like really
Will I
get
swear?
out there and like exactly. And it's so funny because when I was a kid, I will never forget. I heard somebody drop the F-bomb on a movie. And I was like, I'll never say fuck. I'll never ever say that. I'll never say it. It'll never come out of my mouth. I would not be able to live with myself. And like, that's hilarious now, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. But I don't really know how I functioned being so sheltered for so long.
So you went to a Christian school, and
Yeah.
then you're in grade 11 now. You're in a public
Yes.
school, and I assume you grew up with some conservative values in terms of like, I mean, in my world, there was basically the main beliefs of what a good Christian
Yeah.
is someone who doesn't drink,
Mhm.
doesn't do drugs,
Yes.
and stays a virgin until they're married.
Of
If
course.
you do those three things, you will be good with God. Oh, and you stay married until you die.
Yes. Of
And
course.
if
Regardless
you do those
of.
four things,
Yeah.
you are like the good human that
Exactly.
God wants.
Yeah.
And
That was the exact same set of kind of values that my school, okay, so my school definitely, like my private school, definitely kind of like forced those values into me, whether I wanted to hear them or learn them or not. Because the alternative to those values, of course, was like public school, right? Was
Yeah.
like, I can wear whatever I want and I can go get drunk, which is like all you do in a small town. Pretty much once you hit the age of 14, like that's,
oh my goodness,
that's
I can't
like
believe
what you do on
made that
weekends.
switch.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. So like going from being so sheltered and being in a school where like if I showed my shoulders, I was causing the young men to stumble.
Oh dear.
Like,
So
you know,
much- so
like
much
gag me.
sexism.
So really, really, really gross because like his education is more important than mine, obviously, because I just get to be a little virginal Christian housewife. So yeah, I'll put on a sweater so that you can learn science. Like, anyways, no resentment
goodness.
whatsoever, right? But it was really, really crazy to have these questions as a kid, as a preteen, as I'm like, you know, really entering my really influential teen years and not really being allowed to ask the questions and not having any access to the answers
Yeah.
other than just going out and experiencing them myself and just kind of like falling into these situations where then I had to learn, you know, like I lost my virginity to a guy who literally stole it from me. I was raped as a virgin and I didn't know that
Oh my
that's
God.
I didn't know that that's
I
what
did not know that.
I didn't know that that's how your virginity wasn't supposed to go. I just
Oh
kind of
gosh.
thought, I don't know anything about sex. No one ever told me anything about how it was supposed to
Like
be.
when it happened, like
When-
you didn't even know about sex.
Well, exactly.
Or-
I really didn't know anything. So I was like, maybe it's normal. Maybe it's a totally legit thing for this guy to be forcing himself on me and for me not to be able to say no.
Oh,
Maybe
how
that's
old
just
were
how
you?
it is. I was 15.
Oh my god.
I was 15, yeah.
So around that
then,
same
of course,
time,
around the same
11,
time,
12.
exactly.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
like, it was right as I had entered public school. And it was so
dear.
crazy then because this is where the whole idea of you have to stay a virgin until you're married or else you're not worth much and you're full of sin and all this crap, right? So then at that point, I had this really weird traumatic thing happen that I couldn't talk to my parents about. I couldn't ask for help or really take care of it properly because I knew that in the eyes of everyone who had been in my life up until then, I was no longer You know, I was like flawed and like
Yeah.
tainted
Yeah.
at that point. So of course I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, right?
Well, that, and like often I find like no matter what it is, sometimes in Christian culture, like my parents got divorced or whatever your bad thing is, it's like you get this like level of like, oh, you brought it upon yourself, like
Victim blaming for sure. Well, and that was one thing that had happened years later, which is actually kind of recently. Because, well, I'm old now. That was like 11 years ago. But either way, I remember at the time, a few weeks after the incident happened, I was talking to someone, and their first response was, well, what were you doing there? What were you doing to get yourself in that situation? What did you, like, immediately,
you showed
like,
up
victim
to the
blaming,
party?
right?
You went to it?
Yeah, I'm
that
like,
in and of itself.
I'm like, are you
No,
kidding me? So I'm like, apparently, because that culture is so strongly against any sort of premarital sex or impurities or whatever, I was the one to blame.
Yeah.
For something that happened to me, right?
Yeah.
So, like, talk about having a really weird sense of, like, having your worth and your sexuality not being able to coexist.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was so strange for me that there was so much shame centering sexuality to the point where even when I began to, like, enter into that world, even beyond the fact that it happened in a really turbulent manner,
Yeah.
I didn't really know how to approach it or what to do with it. And I didn't think that I was allowed to be having sex and to still matter as a human being. So,
Oh
of
my
course, my
God.
self-respect was just pooh through the floor.
Yeah.
And I just became this kind of everybody wanted a piece of, everybody got a piece of, because
Oh my god.
self-worth was not a thing. It was not a
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah, it's not even. Well, they talk about how. I know when I was in grade 7, they did this example in a class. This woman, I remember exactly what she's wearing. She had a pink shirt on, and she had this like analogy of a flower, and like if you take one petal off,
oh my god, the
every
pieces
time,
of yourself.
every time you give a flower to someone else, it's gone for good, and you only have so many flowers, and then or whatever, and then there's, all you have left to give your husband is a stem. If you have sex, that was like the
Yeah, of course.
You know,
you're giving away. Well,
nothing.
yeah.
You're not giving away anything. You have nothing to give.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, right? Yeah, their notion that I know they're still teaching to this day is that,
Of
like, every
course.
time you have sex, you give away a piece of yourself, which means doing something that humans are designed for makes you less of a person and less valuable.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell is anyone teaching anybody else that? Like, why
Yeah.
why are influential people saying this kind of garbage, regardless of what you believe in? This is what just knocks my socks off, right? It's literally like shaming young people for having normal bodily functions and urges and hormones and desires,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I have such a hard time wrapping my brain around that
Yeah.
because it's so fucked. So, you know, and I mean that, again, that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a really long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm still definitely, I mean, I've figured out, luckily, that I am still important regardless of the fact that I've had lots of sex.
Yeah.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Screw you and your flower analogy. Like, okay. But I mean, it took me a really long time to find that delicate balance of, like, I can explore my sexuality in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And I can value myself, and I can make others see that I am worth respecting.
Totally.
Without it having to be this big argument, without me having to, like, defend my need for a physical connection with someone else.
Totally. Well,
Right?
I think it's interesting, like, a lot of the time, like, well, so often in Vancouver, there's this person who walks around naked and has this, like, very, like, open, like, thing that she's just, her whole point is that, like, she's naked, but there's nothing about her that would ask to be someone to rape her at all. And, like,
Yeah.
a nude body is not a reason for anything that somebody doesn't want.
Yeah.
So, like, if there is no nude body, like, what are you connecting on? So then, like, that in and of itself is something I think our entire culture doesn't really focus on. We focus on this, like, fleshy, meaty idea, gratuitous, there's some skin, your skin, I get an orgasm, you get an orgasm, A+, moving on, new culture, new hookup. So if you pull yourself away from all this world, what is left? Then what is left? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what is there?
It's
How
really
does
just
someone
ridiculous.
navigate true sexuality in this culture alone let alone in a world, in having grown up in a religious world. Like, how did you find yourself getting to a place where you had some solid beliefs based around what sex and sexuality is? And, like, do you have any conscious notion of what those beliefs are?
Yeah, so I mean, oh man, that's such a loaded question.
I know, it takes a long time to undo all of this, like, these beliefs you get brought up with.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
takes so much time to be like, oh, okay, this particular act isn't bad.
Yeah.
What else surrounding it?
Yeah.
Like undoing a huge knot that, like,
well, I think yeah, it's really gross and really, like, impossibly difficult to do, right? But I think what really made the most difference was when I started university back in 2013.
It was a secular university?
Secular university.
Public.
Duh,
whatever.
of course.
Why lots more to talk about.
Like, I'm really glad you're still here with us today, because I would have not been able to. Hell no. So anyways, I definitely, up until I started university, I still really didn't have a lot of social awareness when it came to, like, equality and the fact that people could have sex without it being dirty and wrong, and, like, you know, and, like, I was...
So a few years.
So like, it took me a long time, because, I mean, like, the whole, you know, like, when I was 15, up until when I started school, that was a good, like, you know, like, 6 or 7 year time period, right? Yeah. So it was a very significant amount of time, and within that time before I started school, I had some really, really interesting things happen in terms of relationships with men that caused me a lot of grief and caused me a lot of pain, but also helped me learn some things about myself, about kind of where I was setting the bar in terms of how I would allow people to treat me, and, like, and all the excuses I was making for myself, as well as the excuses I was making for these people who were really shitty human beings, quite frankly. Yeah. So, like, I was in an emotionally abusive, which eventually turned physically abusive relationship with a guy for almost 3 years, before I realized that that's not how relationships were supposed to go either, and that I deserved better, and that, like, because, again, it wasn't just the sex thing. Growing up in a very strict Christian environment wasn't just about don't have sex. It was about, like, don't date, don't kiss anybody, don't be physical with somebody. You meet one man, and you decide you're going to marry him, and you court him, and then you get married, and then you can have sex.
That's true. Hey.
The typical missionary way. And don't even think about doing oral, because apparently you will turn into salt or some shit. Don't even get me started on that whole, like, don't even, like, cannot handle. So, but anyways, right? So I start school. And I'm taking these really, really interesting classes. These humanities classes was, I guess, their category or whatever. That was basically talking about human expression and what our deep, you know, internal needs are, which is rooted in basic humanity. Yeah. And what our bodies are designed to, like, physically experience. And art school is great. Art school is fantastic because it's such a joke most of the time. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. Some of this shit that I dealt with on a day-to-day basis was like, how am I actually going to get a degree doing, like, this is ludicrous. I will never forget. I had to jump over a giant squid made out of, like, paper one day to get to my class. I'm, like, hopping over this squid. But anyways.
Art students.
Art students, right? But, holy crap, did I ever learn some things about feminism and about, like, well, this is how I formulated my slut definition. Basically, was in this one.
You have a slut definition?
Yes. Well, we talked about it a little bit. But my slut definition is, well, because people use the term slut as, like, a woman who has lots of sex, or, like, dresses a certain way, or, like, shows off her body. And I was, like, thinking about it, and I was like, because I've been called that many, many times. I was thinking about it, and I'm like, pretty sure the real definition of slut is just, like, a woman who does whatever the hell she wants with her own body.
Yeah, like, whenever she wants.
Right?
How
like,
she wants.
How she wants, with who she wants, whom, whatever. Where, like, it's a woman doing things on her terms with herself. Right? And if that's the definition...
anyone else if you want
Yeah,
them.
whatever you want. So, like, if that's the real definition of a slut, I'm like, sign me up!
Yeah.
Like, I will write it on my chest. Like, let's do this. So, it's just a little unreal.
There's a difference between slut and there's a difference between easy. Hello, NRC Swami. Thanks for joining us.
Hi! Yay! Thanks for tuning in. So
We've had 10 people watching
That's awesome.
every moment so far.
that's sweet.
really nice.
So,
Hi, people. Say hello if you can comment. We'd love to hear from you.
yeah, man. Like, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, the awareness,
excited.
changing terms about, like, how I viewed relationships and sex and, like, where I based that off of. And basically, after I got out of this emotionally abusive relationship, that's when I really embraced my slut side, as you might want to call it. That's when I was like, wow, no one actually controls me anymore, and I have the liberty to, like, do whatever the hell I want.
In all things.
In all things, exactly. Without having to report to anyone, without getting checked up on, without being, like, gaslighted all the time. Like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
So how old were you at this point? This is
22.
So we're still at the, like, 7. We're at the, like, we're at the peak of you figuring it out.
Yeah, this is picking me figuring out. This is a really recent development, honestly.
I believe you.
Because, like,
it's hard to come to this stuff.
well, yeah, and I mean, yes, I was sexually active from the age of, like, 15, like, after I lost my virginity. I was like, okay, well, that's gone. That's
now
the
you're
other thing.
deflowered.
That's just
no
what it
flower
was.
left.
That's what it was. I was like, as a Christian, before you have sex, you're pure. After you have sex, if you're not married, you are impure.
And
So
have
I
you
was
heard
like,
about the thing too, like
goodbye.
if you like re-pray or like reclaimed virgin.
oh, yes.
And I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah. I'm like, unless my hymen gonna regenerate itself, I'm pretty sure that's also, that doesn't mean shit either, honestly.
That means nothing.
I can't even, like, the science, oh my god, that I was, like, taught
So much to say.
about what my body means and, like, what I'm allowed to do with it or what I'm not. Like, so, the first time I used a tampon, I guess, was I deflowered then?
Well, according to some Christians.
Uh-huh.
Or some people, probably.
Yeah,
Marley,
right?
You can't just,
I know,
I'm sure there's
yeah,
other
of course. But do you
fundamentalism.
see, right, how...
Any
how that
religion.
sounds so crazy. So, I finally am out of this bad relationship, and I'm like, I get to do whatever I want.
Right.
So my ex, the abusive dude, he was obsessed with football. So when I dumped him finally, I decided I was going to get back at him by hooking up with some of the football players on his favorite team.
Oh, no.
So...
Danger.
Exactly, yeah. So
Sex
there
is
ended up being...
complicated no matter how
There ended up being a bit of a bender, a bit of a period of my life where I was just, like, totally out of control, that way. But, and there were some parts of that I was not happy with, and I had moments where I was like, that was maybe a little further than I would have liked to take things, and I didn't really want to do that, but for the most part, that whole experience was really eye-opening, mind-boggling, just incredible in terms of claiming my sexuality and not having to apologize to anybody at all.
I love it.
Anybody. And from that point onward, I was just like, it is okay for me to have a one-night stand. It is okay for me to date someone for like 5 minutes and then sleep with them after if I really want to do that. It's also okay for me to say no at any given time without having to defend that either. I don't have to explain to you why I'm saying no.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing, right?
No.
Like, so I finally was just like, releasing that notion that I was under somebody else's thumb.
Well, I think
was
that
just...
like totally exists in general in our culture because
of course.
Men are taught like if you want it, you can go get it, kind of thing.
Ugh.
And often, you know, the idea is they get turned on or not, and you're in a room and you're in a situation with them and they want that, and then I think I have been in there, we all feel it, where we feel automatically we owe it to them or something.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, you bought me dinner, therefore I have to.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
oh, yeah.
That alone makes me always try and either pay or go Dutch, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to have to owe you anything.
Yeah,
Like,
well, I know, right? And how messed up is that? Like, since when is my vagina a currency?
$50 dinner.
I'm sorry. Well, and, like, that's the thing, right? Like, men
At least
think...
let's go somewhere fancy. Like,
right, I know. I'm like, if you're expecting me to even remotely put out, this bill better be at least $400. Like, I'm going to order all of these main dishes just so I can look at them. I don't want to eat this. I'm going to just look, and then I'll maybe, you know... Ugh, gross. Men are gross. I can't.
no, well, that's
No.
Many.
But so it's just so funny to me. It's so funny to me because having all of these experiences, has really kind of made me unapologetic in many aspects of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's no longer just about my dating life or my sex life.
No,
I've really totally finally embodied this whole, this is my deal, take it or leave it. Get off my lawn if you are going to be negative and, like, try and impose your crazy ass values on my existence. Do you. I'm all about live and let live. Honestly, go. Do your thing. Spread your wild, like, whatever. But, man, after you are in a cage for so long, you are out of the cage then. You don't want to get back in no damn cage.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in it. Like, I don't care whose cage it is. I'm not going to willingly enter into that situation ever again, right? Just, like, not a chance. So, I don't know. It's difficult a little bit because, considering the environment in which I was raised, I have kind of had to, like, sacrifice some relationships, like with family especially. It's been very, things are just different. Things are on a different level. It's very, like, surface level with some of my family members and some of my old friends even that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Because they're very much still stuck in that idea of, like, this is what purity means, or I'm always kind of viewed as, like, the black sheep kind of, like, bad influence.
I like to see it as the rainbow
poor
sheep,
Olivia.
actually, among the black
Rainbow
sheep. But the thing is, sometimes what happens is people come into this world and they're actually from the future, more evolved in other ways.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they're here to help heal generationally, and sometimes that comes at a price, and sometimes that price is other people.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, and hi,
and,
Thomas.
like, the new generation.
Yeah, so, and here's what's crazy. Here's what's absolutely insane, right, is that I don't know at what point I entered this universe or whatever. Like, you know way more about all that than I do, honestly.
I don't know
but, like,
anything. I know
yeah,
nothing.
I don't know
I preach the
anything.
gospel. I don't know.
But the thing is,
that's
too,
the good
right?
news. There's no knowledge. Well, actually, that's not the good news. The good news is I don't know.
There is no. Thank you for that enlightening
Right
bit
now.
of- Yeah, wow. No, for real though, like, I was kind of always given the impression when I was younger, especially, and when I started to, like, show interest in boys, right, I was kind of given this idea of, like, well, you know, if you slip, if you stumble, if you do this or this, you're gonna have an unhappy life. It was basically like, have sex and you're doomed, right?
Yeah, hell abound.
And it's so crazy
lightning
because...
strike.
Is that the official lightning sound?
Yeah, from a white guy in the sky. Like, yeah, I guess so. It's like a dart lightning, a lightning dart. Like you, boom, boom.
Oh my god, you're not even wrong.
I'm not.
like-
There's a man in the sky with he's like the traffic conductor with a hat with, like, I always imagine a traffic conductor in the middle of the road with, like, a train conductor hat. He's, like, conducting all the things and, like,
you need to dress up as him.
Yes, I would love to.
Mm-hmm. Get those, like, glowing popsicle things they have at the airport to, like, direct.
Yes, totally. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
So something I find that you and I have talked about and ranted out about a lot is that we get kind of frustrated in general with culture of, like, whatever the archetype of, like, a straight guy is. There's like this world kind of culture, and it's not too many of us, not all of men, some of men.
Yeah, we're not trying to, like, generalize.
Don't hate
It's
men,
not-
but there is this overall perpetuating culture of, like, that there is a woman, you can attain her, it's your job to attain. If you get her, you're successful somehow, and you add this person to some list that makes your ego large. And I think that I have personally gotten frustrated because I've dated women, and I've gotten to exist in this world where there's not this male-female situation. You come at it as an equal place, and I generally prefer to date women. I really like taking girls on dates. I like coming up with the date. I like buying flowers. Like, I like doing those things. It's so fun. I know exactly what I would want on a date, so I do it. And, like, other girls do it too. That's why it can be... I'm, like, spitting up it like... It's just, that's how it can be sometimes. And it's so nice. And it's so fun. And you can do thoughtful things. You can think of thoughtful dates, thoughtful ways people would go out. Like, that's such a fun process to exist with. So it's so weird to me to, like, see a lot of straight guys in my circles and spheres have a really hard time with those
wrapping
kinds of
their
things.
brain around that.
Of, like, what I don't know. I mean, it's so complicated. Anyway, There's this wonderful person who did a talk the other day in CBC Winnipeg. Her name is Dan
Yes.
Smith. It went like super viral in the last 2 days. And
Are we gonna
I
watch
feel like
that?
you and I have had this rant, we have tried to say what she is saying so many times. And like, I'm so happy she exists and said this. So she is a gay woman. She has a girlfriend and she talks about how that girl had dated a bunch of crappy guys and how it's really easy to do nice things for her. So I'm going to show one of the clips and... So funny. Okay, so I don't know if anyone watching could hear us. If you're watching, and I can see that there's like generally about 10 people, if you're watching and you're logged in, feel free to comment as much as you want. We'd love to have a dialogue. You can't hear the clip.
No.
Oh no, okay, wait. Let me try again. Let's do it again. Let's see if it works. If not, well.
Well, we've had this conversation
no.
too a
Whatever.
1,000 times.
Whatever.
Like honestly, all of this is stuff I've said to you.
It's so true. So I don't know if it works now or if the clip
It's
worked or
insane.
not. If you could hear it, let us know because we have a smaller other little clip we want to show. But
Yeah.
either which way doesn't really matter.
So, yeah,
So basically, girls need to be eaten out more.
yeah. So
Oh wait, we never got to that part yet.
double
Oh, no.
standards.
This is-
We need to have a talk about straight men and double standards because is there still no sound? Can
It
you
doesn't
fix
matter.
that, please?
Oh wait, we can't. It's too late. Okay.
No. So
Oh well.
straight men and double standards. So Lily Allen, you know where I'm going with this, right?
No, I love her, but I have no idea where you're going with this.
Lily Allen sang this amazing song. And one of the lyrics goes something like, I'm feeling awfully hard done by. I spent ages giving head. And, like, it's basically about this guy who, like, cannot please her and does not even try to please her. And, like, somehow still feels entitled to great sex, even though he has absolutely no clue
What he's doing?
what he's doing and, like, can't be bothered to actually try. So, okay, there's a meme that's circulating too where this girl is like giving head to her boyfriend or some guy, whatever. And then he finishes and then he says to her, like, babe, did you come? And that's like such the mentality with so many straight guys is like, if they enjoyed it, we must have also enjoyed it. Right? Which
Or
is just,
also, you never have to ask that question.
yeah.
If you know how, as a woman who has been with women, it is very anatomical, and I know some people watching have seen the clip from Inconceivable, the deleted scene where, like, Rita goes, oh, like, I have a perfect record, and, like, that's very accurate in some circles, because it's really simple. It's actually not that hard to navigate. People act like
Yeah.
it's so difficult, and, like, there's so many cool videos right now that, like, show people how.
But the thing is, right,
There's so
men
much
aren't
knowledge.
watching, men are
That's
not
true.
watching
It's
these
women
instructional.
watching.
Men aren't watching these instructional videos. They're watching porn where they can go like this for 3
Yeah.
seconds and the woman is coming all of a sudden. And it's like,
Yeah.
on what planet does that actually work?
No, they say
Not
actually,
this freaking planet. Like,
actually
no.
written down on paper, whatever. It's 8 minutes to 30 minutes is the
Yeah.
length of time you need to eat a woman out before she come.
Yeah.
That's like if you gotta get comfortable, get a neck pillow, wherever you need.
Yeah.
It's super
exactly.
possible.
Yeah, I know. Well, and like,
and you know how, like,
so,
it's anatomy.
yeah.
I
Basically, more pussy and know-how.
can teach you if anyone's watching us in questions. We
Yeah.
can get specific.
She
I
knows.
mean,
She knows. Well, and here's what's funny about that too, right? Is that like I've dealt with guys who like brag, like before we ever hook up, they brag about, oh, I love going down on girls. I love it. I love it. I love eating pussy. I love it. I love it.
like, do you know how?
Okay, so like perfect example is Francis, aka this one,
Oh my god.
the period shaming one.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this guy and I were talking for like, this was a long ass time ago, by the way. This is like back in like October. But this guy and I had been talking. I met him on Tinder, which like is like the cesspool for human garbage, and I should have just known, but I went along with it anyways. And we talked for like several weeks, like texting, before we ever decided to meet up. But one night I was like kind of wanting to blow him off because I was like, you're kind of annoying, and I was like, I'm not really feeling this, and I just wanted to chill, and I was kind of having a weird night, and I was feeling like crap because my period was going to come any day. I was like, I'm PMSing, I just feel like shit. And he was like, well, can I bring over some wine? And I was like, I could go for some free wine right now. I was a student, right? I was a student.
Plus, you're bringing it to me. You don't have to leave the
Exactly.
house.
I'm like,
that is the
this
path
is
of
like,
least resistance for sure.
So I'm like literally looking at this as free liquor delivery, but I'm like, whatever, sure. But I told him before he even came over, I texted him and I was like, just so you know, I'm not having sex with you tonight. And he's like, haha, okay, that's fine. I'm still coming over. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, good. He's not going to be gross. We can just chill. We'll like maybe make out if he doesn't suck. And then,
oh no.
And then we'll just, you know, whatever. So he comes over and we open up the bottle of wine and like literally within 10 minutes of him being there, he's like trying to shove his hands down my pants.
Oh, 10
and I'm
minutes.
like, bro,
10
oh my
minutes.
god, he wasted no time. Like,
That's
we're
not
having a
even,
conversation. We're sitting on the couch.
Bathroom break.
Like, I haven't even breathed
water,
since he arrived. So,
tea,
yeah.
coffee, hey.
Like,
Netflix.
I'm surprised he even got his shoes off in that time. So, so anyways.
Oh my god.
We're like sitting on the couch and he kind of like lunges and is like on top of me, like making out with me and trying to like, and I'm like grabbing and I'm like, fuck off, like don't. And he's like, you know, you want it. And I was like, I was like, don't tell me what I want. First of all, you don't know shit about me. That's gross and kind of rapey. So I'm not, no.
No, you ask.
Really gross. But I told him then, I was like, I already said I'm not having sex with you. And my period is coming. Like literally, any minute now, it's going to arrive. And this fucking guy
usually
looks
works.
at me. This guy, most guys are scared of blood. You know, they will eat a steak
Except
that is
for the,
so
like,
damn rare that it's
select
still
few.
mooing. But they will not touch period blood because ew.
That's true.
Right? We're goddesses, but we're disgusting. Like, pick a lane.
No, and
pick a freaking lane.
Someone
Pick a lane.
recently told me too that period blood has stem cells in it, and I'm like, sorry, what? Is that real? Like, that is how are we discovering this now?
No,
and like, is that not real?
hope so.
Someone Google this and find out for us. Like,
That would
what?
be so cool.
That would be
really amazing.
insane if that was all of our reality and we.
Yeah. Anyway,
women are
so
sacred either way.
We're incredible.
We're
creatures.
amazing.
So
Yes.
so so we're like making out. I'm telling him, I was like, my period's gonna arrive any day now. He looks at me and he says, I don't think it will.
Okay, thank you.
Like, I'm so glad you know my body better than I do. Like, who the hell are you? So I was like, okay, whatever. At this point, though, right, I like chugged my wine when he first got there because I already knew I was going to be kind of annoyed by him. So I was like, I'll just get a little drunk and then I'll feel better. So I'm like, okay, at this point, we've been making out for a few minutes. I was like, he kind of sucks, but I'm also kind of horny now. Plus, you know the rage of freaking hormones right around your period. Yeah. I was like, I want to, like, dry hump that park bench.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Honestly, I don't even have to be remotely attracted to you. I will just sit on you for a few minutes and call it a day.
And then cry after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just mush. Sexy orgasmic mush. Tears. Mush and tears.
Oh, God. So anyway.
Being
so
a
I'm
woman
like,
in a nutshell.
So I'm like, fine, we'll have sex. Plus, this guy has been up-talking his whole pussy-eating game for, like, weeks.
You're
so
like,
I'm,
fine,
like, expecting...
yeah.
I'm like, fine. I was like, you're gonna come impose yourself on my night. You better make it worth my while. So he's down there for a grand total of, like, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he's just, like... the position he just kind of, like, flipped me, and then we start having sex, right? And then after, he also, lasted for a grand total of, like, 5 minutes, which was just, like, sad.
More than some, less than most.
Like, also, pinkcherry.com. Pinkcherry.com, ladies. If you don't know what that is, learn. You'll be so glad. Everything's on sale right now.
I'm gonna Google on it. Oh.
Like, the best money I've spent in my life. Anyways. Doesn't last very long. So anyways, I get up after. I go to the bathroom, and sure enough, my period has arrived.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
Because you knew,
okay?
because you could feel
I knew it was going to happen.
Yourself.
And everything got jostled around for a few minutes, and so now I have a period.
Yeah, so it's rushed.
Yeah, so I do what I need to do to contain the fluids, and I go back out into my bedroom where he's laying there. He's already put his clothes back on. Okay.
Well, that's quick.
Uh-huh.
Got what he wanted.
Of course.
Right, but you know what you wanted.
Not to mention, he brought the cheapest fucking wine, and I was just so upset, because I was like...
You're like, I'm a $200 bottle girl.
Well, I'm like,
We've been
I
over
will
this.
drink, okay, so I was a student, I can drink some cheap-ish wine, but don't bring over this $8 bullshit, like $8 bottle. Like, gross. Okay?
No sulfites.
Just rude.
Organic
it's just
only.
really, really disrespectful. And I'm Italian. Don't feed me cheap wine. Like, that's just really awful. Anyways, so I go in there and I'm like, so guess what just arrived? And he looks at me. He looks at me with this horror on his face. And he goes, oh my God, what if it got in my mouth? And I was like, huh. What? I was like, okay. So I'm fuming now, right? I'm fuming. I'm ready to murder this guy because I was like, straight up, you are not for real shaming me for my normal bodily function when I warned you. I warned you. Not to mention, I was like, I am sitting here naked and vulnerable.
Oh my God.
And you're making me feel bad for having a period. I'm obviously an emotional basket case right now because hormones.
Which is why you said no in the first place.
Oh, no. Right? But apparently he didn't think it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. That's not true.
Like,
he was like, I bought this $8 bottle.
Like, literally face palming myself into a coma at this point. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm sitting there naked, and I was like, wow, like, okay, thanks. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, you should be so lucky to get anywhere near my period blood, you sack of shit. I was like, excuse me, I am a goddess of fertility, screw yourself, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
you're like, do you even know?
I basically was just like, I pulled the whole, well, I feel like crap, because I'm bleeding, so you need to leave, right? So immediately, he's already dressed, luckily, because he got his. So at this point, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm humiliated, I still haven't gotten a freaking orgasm, and I'm just like,
blue balls.
I'm feeling headachy off of shitty wine, I'm like, this is awful. So,
blue vagina.
He's out of my, blue vagina.
Yeah, blue vulva. That's the more
so
anatomically correct.
Yeah, thank you. So, I kick him out of my apartment, and then the next day...
But there's more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
The next day, this guy has the nerve to text me saying...
Oh, no. Oh, no.
saying... So, I got the feeling that you were really into me last night.
Oh. He clearly has no self-awareness.
I'm like, what? So, that's where I just unloaded on him then. I unloaded. And I basically called him on all his disgusting... everything he did, his entire behavior from start to finish that night. I told him, I was like, it is super gross, first of all, that you came over with the pure intention of having sex with me when I told you that I was not going to hook up with you.
Wasn't feeling
You're playing to my emotional and hormonal vulnerabilities, but that's fine. I guess you get to do that because you're a man. No, that's not how it goes. No. That's gross. No. So...
I about the conversation. Like, I think that's hard for a lot of men or people in general. Like, before I have sex with you, I like to, have the conversation that we're gonna have it.
Well, yeah.
Or, I think it's important. Like,
totally.
Are you on birth control?
Especially...
Like, if the dude is like, are you on birth control? I'm like, that's the right question to ask. Thank you.
His thing, too, was...
let's find that out first.
You know what else is hilarious? He was trying to,
big deal.
It is a big deal. It's pretty freaking important, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have gone on endless rants about guys who choose to not wrap it for whatever reason.
Oh my gosh. Ew,
he was saying, he was like...
No, I get out. No way.
Yeah, like, you want to control the health of my entire body with a single organ of yours.
Yeah.
You want to put your orgasm over my well-being?
If someone grumbles for a second, I'm like, okay, well, now
Right?
Or it's gone.
Sex is off the table.
Bye.
Yeah, I no longer want to have sex with you. I think you're a disgusting human being. Like, goodbye. But, so he's like, you really must have been feeling me, and I'm trying to, unload on him and tell him why he's a piece of crap. And then he says to me...
I'm sure he responded very well.
Do you know what he said to me?
Well,
do you know what he said to me?
Nice.
No, he was like, well, can I make it up to you? And I was like, what are you going to do? Unfuck me?
Well,
but honestly...
Than
no, but he was all
mad.
like, I know, but I mean, yeah, it is better than him getting mad, right? Because that just would have been a nail in his coffin, frankly. But also, I was
As
like...
if
How about,
experience
instead of
wasn't
having to, like, say I'm sorry and try to make it up to me, how about just don't do anything to be I'm sorry for? How
But, like,
about not
our
pressure
entire-
me into sex
Yeah.
and then shame me? Like, I'm a 26-year-old woman, okay? It's no biological mystery that I have a uterus. Honestly, like, that's a pretty common assumption you can make.
It used to be a biological mystery.
Yeah.
It's no longer.
Seriously. So, like, just the fact that he had the sheer nerve to come at me with any sort of, like, well, and he was like, when I was yelling at him for being a piece of shit, he was like, oh my god, and I was like, oh my god, what? Like, oh my god, I'm not allowed to be,
Well,
like, justifiably angry at you for treating me like a blow-up doll?
yeah.
Is that what you're trying to, because check yourself, like, really?
Yeah.
But, like,
It's hard when we grow a society of men who are taught this kind of. You know,
I
these
know.
ideas are everywhere. They
Yeah.
perpetuated all the places that, you know,
yeah.
it's so hard to undo. It's as much as there's a cementing in Christianity and culture of, like, you know, what a good woman is and a modest woman and no bikini wearing because the devil would hate you. I remember, like, I feel so horrible. Like, I was, like, a little kid. Me and my little best friends would, like, run around and we were wearing tank bathing suits, so that was more holy than others.
Yeah.
And I remember one girl, her sister would always wear a bikini, and she was, like, 14 and we
no.
were, like, 10 or 11, right? So she's
Oh.
bigger. And, like, we full-on slut-shamed her all the time. We were like, she makes out with boys and she wears a bikini. Like, it was, like,
Oh.
we ourselves, like, we would shame her sister and be like,
Of course.
Are you okay with your sister being this devil?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's so not okay that, like, that's the culture that, like, 9-10-year-old girls are hearing and being brought up in.
Yeah.
And that the dudes are taught that, like, yeah, you don't want to be able to stumble because of her bikini. Her bikini is stumbling you. That's just a horrible thing to teach men. That
Well, and,
is
like-
rape culture. If her bikini is stumbling on you, then or causing you to stumble, then you have no self-control.
Well, and in that
That's
atmosphere,
your
it's
problem.
true. In that atmosphere, though, too, of, like, young men in Christian culture, let's talk about all the, like, pent-up sexual aggression that they're not even allowed to deal with in that culture.
Totally.
Right? Which then leads to rape and leads to men feeling like this just cannot control myself anymore actions that are being experienced by these women in their lives.
Totally.
And this
men,
idea
and
then
boys.
yeah, of course. But, like, think about like, I will never forget. Oh my god. This young guy back in my Christian school in, like, it was grade 7. He got caught, like, masturbating in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they expelled him. They
Expelled?
expelled him. Like,
Oh,
he
no.
was done. He was gone.
Oh,
And, like,
man.
okay, is there a better time and place to do that? Yeah. But, like,
But
holy
also
crap.
he was in a bathroom alone.
Yeah, and he's like a teenage boy that's just chock full of testosterone. Like, come on.
Yeah, once in a while, you gotta get your willies out. Somewhere,
Well, and, like,
somehow.
just, but being taught, right? But, like, I feel like being taught that,
Oh,
like,
man.
having any sort of sexual feeling is so wrong. Like, holy crap, small wonder people grow up with weird complexes about their own bodies and feeling like, why am I feeling so, self-conscious, and why do I feel so angry and frustrated? Because sexuality being so taboo that you can't even talk about it leaves you having a lot of unanswered questions about things that need to be answered, like yesterday.
Well, if you have that perspective that all sex is bad, you grow up with this knowledge, this idea that all of it's bad, all of it's shameful,
Yeah.
all of it's violent, all of it's horrible, then you're gonna believe that's true, and you're also, like, that. I think that's honestly why we have so many priests, and that, like, if all sex is bad, then anything is permissible, and that is the thing that's not true. It's not okay to rape little boys in the butt.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not okay. Like, that's just
That's
something that I think we all
obviously-
can agree on,
yeah.
but we don't, apparently. You know, like, if you have that
Yeah.
perspective that I can't have a healthy outlet for, like, orgasms are really freaking good for you. Like, your brain responds well to them.
Yeah.
Your body gets its energy flowing. Like, it's a necessary thing that, you know, monkeys do it. What's that Mother song?
I love that
Like,
song! I was listening to them. I'm on a
Daddy
mother
did
kick
it,
right
Mommy
now.
did it, funny
Yeah.
little monkeys in the zoo do it.
Yeah.
Baby does it.
Legit,
Something-
though. Like, it's
something
really,
all
really
the-
crazy that...
Little something does it. I'm
wanna-
still singing it.
Would you like a microphone?
Mommy.
They performed somewhere really cool for Canada Day. I think
They're
it was
coming up.
back in, are
August
they coming
19th.
here?
August 19th. They're playing for free at the Peony. I'm going. You're right.
What? I
Okay.
want to go to that.
August 19th. Join us.
Oh no, my fabulous boyfriend will be here. I can't.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're an amazing artist extraordinaire. You went to fine arts school. You grew up in this Christian world. You come out of this world. I am awesome. I can do what I want. I can have consensual sex at my desire. Bang, I can have whoever I want. Tell us what you've done creatively with these sexual concepts. Like, okay, so you have this magazine. Tryst magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Every single page in this magazine, is Olivia's. Like, it's wild. It's so beautiful. And there's all these things. Like, do you have to, like, take all the photos in it and everything?
Yes.
Like, look at these. There she is. That's her. Oh, I opened up to the page.
The page.
You see her
Oh, yeah,
on the
the
bed.
promo page.
On the bed.
The promo page,
Oh
Marie
my
Antoinette
goodness. I know, that
style.
was good.
Sad
Whoop,
girl
are we allowed
party.
to have boobs on our show? What are we doing?
Probably.
Whoop,
It's
whoop,
art.
whoop, whoop. It is art.
Or whatever.
It's beautiful.
Those aren't even my boobs, actually. Those are my friend's
Sad.
boobs.
Look at this. This is okay. So tell me about the inspiration for Tryst magazine.
Okay.
Where it came from, what it is, all these articles you have in here.
Alright, so how Tryst started was
show and tell.
me. Okay, so I've always loved writing, like always. When I lived in Brooklyn, I started working for this blog as a content writer, which was some like sex column sort of topic kind of things, like Sex in the City, modern day.
Yeah.
I also did some fashion coverage, but it was mostly just like sex, dating, relationships.
Yeah.
And like throughout my academic career, my sex column was never really part of my artistic practice. Like I never really considered them to be in any way linked until I realized that they totally freaking are. So
Yeah.
I went through this weird phase of doing like all minimalist artwork that was just like really contrived, and I didn't really know how to assign meaning to any of it. And I was really just struggling in terms of like what I was making. So I sat down with one of my mentors in Brooklyn, and she was like, "Why aren't you doing more of this?" Like, because I had showed her some of my blog articles online. She was like, "Why aren't you doing more of this in your practice?" And I was like, "I don't know. I didn't think it was a thing." So I just kind of like made the switch then, and I was like, I'm gonna make my work more about my upbringing, my sexuality, all these blogs I'm writing, my personal experiences with dating and sex and love and all of that stuff. So
cool.
So Tryst happened.
Can you tell us about the name? What is the
Tryst? So Tryst is like a secret sort of illicit, illegal kind of adventure.
Oh, cool.
So
That's
like
perfect.
So like there was this guy not too long ago. Well, no, like last year. Or wait, no, it was in March. Oh, memories. Who I met at a club, and one thing led to another, and we ended up in his office building at 4 a.m, looking over downtown from the 39th floor. Times of my life.
Woo, Stevie!
But Tryst was just like the word that came to mind when I was describing it to my girlfriend the next day.
Wait, what did that have to do with that?
Oh, well, Tryst was just like what we did. We had sex in his office. Did you not?
And what does the Tryst have to do with?
Tryst is just like a secret, late, like kind of illicit sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, but
also
where did the
because
word-
I found out that he is involved with someone, which is gross because I didn't know that at the time. But Tryst then, so I was like, the name Tryst for this magazine just kind of erupted out of that story because I didn't know what I was going to I didn't know what I was going to name this magazine. I started making the book like last year. And then I was like, I need to name it something. And he was kind of the most recent adventure, so I was like, ooh, it was a Tryst. Ooh, I like Tryst. Ooh.
Cool,
and then I realized that
so that was the Tryst.
in terms of my upbringing,
okay.
yeah, like everything in this book was really sort of like the illicit, supposed to be secretive, like wrong, illegal, dirty kind of juicy goods. So, so that's how the name came up. And then all the content itself, I decided I wanted to take my blog and put it into physical form. So this was one of the first
This is how to tell a man he's bad.
how to tell a man he's bad at sex. And that picture actually was taken by my ex-boyfriend. It's a really beautiful picture. So the content in here is everything from like personal anecdotes to kind of like how-tos, like how to tell a man he's bad at sex, the story of how I got period shamed, which we just talked about. You kissed your mother with that mouth, which is about bad kissers. I want to bleach my mouth. There were
think about it?
There were so many bad. It's just I get goosebumps when I think about some of these experiences because they were so gross. To rap or not to rap. Like,
if anyone has any questions for Olivia, we
yeah,
can answer them
stop me
too.
at any time and ask me things if you need
I
to.
have questions, lots. We can ask questions. for them.
But the point of this magazine, I wanted it to kind of be an encapsulation of the whole journey. I wanted it to talk about the rough times that came as a result of the incidences of rape, because there was 2, actually. There was the first one when I lost my virginity, and then there was another one just over 2 years ago, which is how I ended up being diagnosed with PTSD. So shout out to anybody else dealing with that right now. Super fun. So this magazine has, on one page, you know, this quirky little article, Cosmo style, of, like, how to tell a man that he's bad at sex. And then pages later, there's, like, talking about, like, substance abuse and, like, that being a result of,
Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that does not even look like me, because that was not a good time. But just really, really kind of a real contrast between how I am now, how I got here, and then the things that I had to kind of struggle through to get here. And it's honestly a really kind of jarring thing to read, which is the response that I got from everybody who read it. Like, my colleagues at school, my mentors, my instructors, even a friend out here actually recently who read it. She was like, I want to cry, but, like, it's hilarious, but I also want to cry. And it was like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
I feel like it encompasses, like,
The whole
our culture,
experience,
yeah,
our
like
whole
where we
culture.
are right now. So, like,
Yeah.
what, like, can people access this somewhere? Are you gonna do you plan to publish it maybe more later?
Yeah,
Like, if I could, like,
so-
buy it for $10 somewhere.
I mean, I just got it, like, printed through Blurb online or
Actually,
Book Riot or
I'd pay, like,
whatever. And they cost, like, $30 a piece to print. So I'm like, nobody's gonna want to buy those. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's expensive.
no, but
I don't know.
it's like a coffee table thing. Like,
It's
like,
true.
I have a Lady Gaga one. It's just like her and photos that this guy took of her one night.
That's true. Yeah,
Like,
it's
this thing.
definitely
It was,
more
like,
like
$50.
coffee table reader versus just like I'm gonna crank out one of these every couple months because it's so much work and just like
Oh my gosh, I
way
can't
too
believe you did
emotionally
all
exhausting.
of these pages. How did this take you a couple of years to make? Like, how?
No,
wow.
I did that all in my 4th year university. So in
That's
8 months.
So impressive.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's between the line of, like, empowering and lewd of, like, what you
Totally.
want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's your body, so
Exactly.
you can do it. You can do all of these.
Yeah.
Like, in the way you're choosing to do.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you're
and like,
obviously a really talented artist and writer and willing to share your
Thank
story.
you.
It's so cool.
thank you.
Look
Yeah.
at that one. Queen of Disaster. So beautiful. Like, it's just so stunning. Like, it's amazing.
Thomas would buy one.
I
He's my
would-
biggest
yeah.
fan. So, you know,
Aw,
I'll send him one for free maybe.
cheerleaders are important.
Yeah, so it's just really, it's a really crazy book. And what was so nuts about it was that, sorry, I'll let you do your Vanna White thing. Where can I purchase one?
Exactly. I think you should.
Okay,
I think
I'll figure out a
This
way.
is your, like, nice first go
First
round
edition.
of, like,
Yeah. Well, and
we're
I
gonna
actually,
sell
I would really like to make more of these. Like, I would kind of like to put one out annually.
Oh, yeah.
Or like
twice a year.
biannually kind of thing.
I love that idea. I'll help you.
Yeah, okay, but here's
Oh
the
my
problem, right? Is that, like, given the content, it's very, like, emotionally draining to, like, make the book, right? Like,
Of
it's
course, it's vulnerable.
it's really tricky. It's all vulnerability. Like, I was so emotionally raw. Oh my god. My therapist got so much business out of me this past year. Honestly, at the school.
You're like, this was $1,000 of therapy.
Like, I'm not even kidding. So there's this one that's the only good thing ACAD did for me was pay for my therapy for
I know, university, if anyone's in university, you get free therapy. I got
But
free,
straight
I
up.
got free therapy.
So I collaged.
I probably got $1,500 of free therapy.
Right? I know, it's a hell of a deal.
Maybe more.
So I collaged this page, which I don't know how good you can see it, but this page, it's not aesthetically
Let's
pleasing.
see.
It's not, like, beautifully put together. It's just kind of a scrap heap of basically, like, the physical, like, signs of my abuse. I don't know if you can, like, see, but I have, like, a giant black eye and, like,
Oh my
arm, and,
God.
like, there's, like, copy from the medical charts when I got, like, examined and stuff. So basically, I made this page. It took me all day to make this page that I'm not even proud of. And I literally, like, went to my therapist's office at the end of the day. And I was like, I need to have a meeting with you. I was like, just destroyed by it. And that was happening, like, every few days making this book.
Yeah.
Because it's so, like, re-triggering and just, like, upsetting.
Yeah.
And there were days, there were
Dealing
definitely
with
days
it.
where
Oh
I
my
would feel
God.
empowered by it. And I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna kick the world in the ass today and make this incredible thing and speak out about PTSD and, like, you know, be this, like, queen of disaster and, like, rock it. But there were definitely moments then where it was just really, really, really disturbing. So that's why I'm like, I want to make another one, but I don't know how I would do that or what I would even fill it with either, because so much has changed even since this book came out.
Next chapter.
Right?
Yeah.
Since this, like I'm not dealing with shitty men anymore, which is nice.
Yeah.
Well, right now I'm not, right?
I like how Eckhart Tolle talks about how, like, some of the best spiritual enlightenment can come after, he said, I don't know why he says 3, but, like, after, like, having multiple partners, because you reflect, not necessarily, like, whatever, which way that is, but, like, you reflect each other.
Yeah.
And you reflect your own triggers
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to come out of that and break off or attach or come back. I think our generation is getting good at rejection. Like, I think we're learning how to deal with rejection.
Oh, yeah.
Is an
Absolutely.
awesome thing. Of, like, if I can, I don't like you for these reasons, bye. Or, like, I do like you for these reasons, like.
We're just not settling anymore. I'm not settling.
nothing
I'm
to settle
absolutely
for.
not settling. I'm really not. Well, and especially, like, I used to do that so much because my happiness was completely tied up in another person's presence. If I didn't have a boyfriend, I was miserable. If I didn't have somebody who would come over every few days and make me feel like I was special, I was not happy because I didn't believe I was worth anything. I didn't believe I had the goods to be special on my own by my damn self. So, like, now that I know that I offer those things, like, when I connect with people who see that in me and who I see in them, it's just like this firework, like pop, of like just feeding off of each other's good energy. And I've been so lucky to, like, meet some really, really genuine people like that, even lately. So, you know, I feel really good about it on that sense of, like, when it goes back a little bit to the idea that, like, once you lose your virginity, you're going to have a shitty life, right? And I'm like, yeah, I had a shitty life for a while, but man, I'm killing it now. I bust my ass. I have a really good job. I have a really incredible person in my life. I have really great friends, you know? So I'm like,
I have a great baby.
You do have a great
Sex
baby.
made that.
You have the best baby ever. I love him
Broken
so much.
condom made that.
Oh my god, I actually
he's
love him so much.
beautiful.
Where is he? Can we?
he's at
Anyways,
Browns.
oh yeah, he went.
Happy birthday,
No
Benji.
more.
Boop, boop.
No more Bowie
Hopefully
today.
you're not watching this
Oh my
episode. Maybe. Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
Who watches?
Crazy. Anyways, you know, it's been a journey, and this book, I thought it was gonna be hard to see it all in front of me, but I feel like it was really actually incredible because a lot of the things that I was wrestling with, that I was holding here, I got to put here.
Totally take it out.
And I can read through this when I want to read through this, and then I can shut it and, like, put it down and, like, put it away and not have it up in my face all the time.
Yeah.
And, like,
And you're
not
in control
always
of it.
in my I'm in more control of it than I was for sure before, right? And again, like, PTSD is not fun. I have moments where I have really shitty flashbacks, and I can go, this was so insane. This happened to me, like, a couple months ago. It was before I moved, so yeah, a few months ago. I was literally, like, blasting, like, early 2000s Britney in my car, like, singing along and having a really good time, and then I just get this, like, you know, like in old films, the roll of film, and somebody cuts a piece of film and sticks it in there, and there's, like, just the quickest, like, half a second flash of something else,
Yeah.
and then it's back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those. That was just the choking that happened.
Yeah.
So, like, just for, like, a second. And this is as I'm, like, belting out Britney, so my throat is, like, sore because I've been, like, screaming Britney at the top of my lungs. But then I have this flashback, and I literally had to pull over so I could, like, have a full-on meltdown in my car.
Oh my god.
ridiculous.
That is like
so shitty
no,
and
but
so real.
It's so important though, because that's when your body is expelling the memory.
Yeah,
I think it's important. Like so often, like I know, like I was
Exactly.
hospitalized for some of my own mental illness stuff,
Right.
and the people were like, oh, I would tell the psychiatrist, be like, oh yeah, I'm having flashbacks, and they'd be like, oh, let me give you more pills.
No.
And I was like, no,
Let
these
it out.
flashbacks are important. I think like
Yeah.
every time, I don't know, like for me, like 4 years ago, I had or 3 or 4 years ago, I had this like really crazy experience where I like lost my mind completely, didn't sleep for 3 days, had too much Sudafed, which is like can be an upper, I guess. Didn't mean to, accidental, wisdom teeth, a whole bunch of shit happening at once, multiple days, stress, midterms, lose my shit completely, end up swimming in the Fraser River, which is a river near here. It's massive with 2 currents. I absolutely should have died. I spent 2 hours like in this lake or river, and it was glacier fed. It was cold. I don't know what happened to me
so brutal.
in those 2 hours. Every once in a while I have these flashbacks of where I was in that time in real life in the river, or like if I go swimming a lot of the time, I'll get like and like feeling that feeling of like drowning, getting pulled under,
my
what that felt like, or whatever,
God.
like whatever it was I experienced in those 2 hours, I sometimes get that. And at first it was like terrifying and overwhelming, but then like last week I was camping and I was in the water for like 45 minutes dwelling on it and being like, okay, I'm in control of it. This lake is not swallowing me whole. It's not pulling me under. I physically can keep myself above water. I'm not dead. I'm alive. What's the opposite of dead? You know? And I was like, oh, I don't experience that. I don't experience that. Oh, but I'm having an experience. And that's what makes me human.
Totally.
There's this really interesting Buddhist idea called the Shapna, and it's like your triggers, and it's like everything in life you go through, and like you're trying to be this like decent person within a box or whatever that's not spilling over their negative emotions everywhere or whatever. Maybe not, that's not your goal, but I generally don't want to be a crazy psychopath, but some days we get triggered. And there's these things, they call it Shapna, and the idea is that you experience them and they're your teachers and they teach you, and if you go, I don't want it, then it gets bigger and bigger and becomes a bigger problem because you're resisting it, because what you resist persists. But if you are willing to let it go and allow the horrible feeling, whatever it is, it will pass through you.
Yeah.
And like that in and of itself is like such an empowering thing to learn, because then it goes away.
Yeah.
And like
Totally.
that's something we don't really talk about as far as like healing trauma, how to do it. Like it's important to have the mental breakdown. It actually serves a purpose. Like when people have panic attacks, like, oh, I'm gonna pass out. Like, pass out.
Yeah.
Go with it. Like, do it. And you probably won't pass out. You'll probably calm down really quickly.
Be okay.
Like,
yeah. No,
know?
I totally know that feeling. And, like, it was so weird to, like, I'm really glad that I'm in the place now that I can recognize what a flashback is and what a panic attack is. And, like, what my physical responses to these like mental experiences are, because before I got diagnosed, I just felt crazy.
Yeah.
I just felt crazy.
You don't know what's
wrong
wrong
like,
with you.
Why am I so irrationally angry over this small thing? Why am I having sex benders with football players when I don't really like any of them and I don't know why I'm behaving this way? When in reality, thank you, therapist, you saved my life on this one, said to me that was my need to control my sexual experiences. That was me binging on sexual control.
Totally. And
in response to the incident of rape, which happened literally only 3 months before. So my instant response, because I thought I was over it. The one that happened two-ish years ago, I kind of, I went to the hospital a couple days later because I had such a bad panic attack that I actually thought I was having a heart attack because I was having really bad chest pains. And I go in and they do an EKG and they're like running all these tests and they're like, have you experienced any trauma lately? And I'm like, no. And then I was like, well, wait, like, yeah. And, then they like rush me up to the whatever ward and do the tests and get me around only female nurses and doctors. And then I stay there for a couple days and whatever else. But then once I finally, got that out of my system over that week of like, I took the antibiotics and I was out of the hospital, then I was kind of like, okay, well that sucked, but I think I'm fine now. That's not how it works. So of course then I was just like reeling over the next few months and like scrambling for this control over my sexual experiences, which led to all of the football. But
that
you
in and
know,
of itself is how you
but
feel too.
Exactly, right? And like during that time, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know why I was behaving that way. I knew I had no interest in stopping because it was hella fun, sorta, right?
Yeah.
But then having that diagnosis, you know, the following year, like literally a year and a half later, of like, you are dealing with some pretty severe post-traumatic stress disorder, that's when I was like, oh.
It's so helpful to know.
Okay, awesome. So like having the tools to manage that and being able to have the nightmares and wake up and sob for an hour and breathe through it and go back to bed, that's a gift. That is a gift, honestly.
So.
And like, you know, of course, it's hard to explain to people who haven't ever really known trauma or loss or struggle or like the conservative little Christian kind of
world.
Yeah, so
some things I really have this perspective that there are two kinds of people. There are the people that feel safe and people who don't.
Yeah.
And I think that anyone can feel safe until they're not safe and learn what not safe feels like. And some people only ever learn what not safe is. And for those people, it's really hard to learn how. Like, that entire process is a huge journey of, like, whatever it is for you, the magic, meditation, learning yourself, learning your own emotions, going, like, all of that is just this, like, crazy journey. But there are some people in this world who generally have been taught they're loved, generally taught, like, they have enough around them, and they live that way. Like, I personally thought that everyone was, like, always traumatized all the time, and that exists, but now, like, with people in my life around me, there are a lot of people who haven't actually experienced an insane level of trauma, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
but
of course
that
not.
might make them less empathetic or less sympathetic, and not understand the depth to which their own humanity can feel. They might not have gone there, but you have had to go there.
Yeah,
and that in and of itself
like, lived there. I could, like, give guided tours there. I know it so well.
Welcome
like,
to the trauma zone.
And here we passed the time that thing happened.
You too.
Oh my god, yeah. So it's really, oh man, it's just really. I hate calling it like a journey because I feel like ew.
It's a journey. It's a
but
story.
It's a journey. You know, it is, and like I really. I'm not, I definitely am not one of the people who's like, everything happens for a reason. Like, did I need to get raped twice? No, I fucking didn't.
No, but everything
I really
happens.
didn't. Like, it happened, yeah. And, like, the things that I've had to work through since that have been character building. But that incident was not character building. I could have grown and learned things without that happening.
Absolutely.
But, like, either way, I've wound up here doing this. I have my degree. I got really good grades in university. I moved out young. I provided for myself, which I continue to do. I'm paying off student debt. I'm working a really incredible job that I love and I'm excelling at. And like I said, I've got some really strong friendships with people who truly get it.
Yeah, totally.
And know me and who I don't have to.
Woke millennial.
I am a woke millennial, you know, and like I really I don't even feel sad like I used to feel sad for having more of a surface level relationship with some of the people from my previous, you know, stage in life. I used to feel a lot of regret and feel like, well, maybe I should just put a cap on these things that I've dealt with. Maybe I should just find a way to not have to talk about them because then I can still maintain this relationship to this level.
Maybe I could fit in this box
maybe
for
I
this
could
other
fit
person.
in, exactly, and that's exactly what it was. It was maybe I could fit in that box for that other person at my expense. And I'm like,
no.
That's not gonna work for me. Like,
you like me or you hate me, or I leave.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, like,
take it or leave it. And what
or
I've
nothing.
Yeah, well, and like what's so incredible about that is that when I really, really figured that out, that happened in New York mostly. That's living in New York really was like the ultimate me figuring out who the hell I am.
You moved there at what age?
I moved there when I was 24.
Okay.
I turned 25 right when I was moving home. And I was there for 5 months. And because when I was there, nobody knew me. I didn't know a single soul in New York.
Yeah.
And I was free to just do my own thing and experience what I needed to experience. Not to mention, it's freaking New York.
Like,
Like,
I am
hello,
a whole
it's the best place in
person.
the whole world. Exactly, and
Just
that's where I
me.
realized. That is where I realized that I am more than enough. And that I'm actually pretty freaking amazing. And I was like, whoa, why have I been trying to, like, make myself smaller this whole time for other people? Like, that's
Hey,
so stupid.
Nobody got time for that.
So damn stupid. Oh my god. So, like, whoa. So, you know, it's been a trip. It's been a real trip ever since then. And I really, I'm happy, you know, I'm happy. And I have days
like
where
you
I'm
know-
not happy.
Sounds like you know who you are.
I do.
And that's, you don't necessarily have to be happy.
Exactly, yeah.
If you
And
know
no one
who
is
you
happy
are.
all the time, okay? That is not mental health. That is crap.
Yeah. I like how Eckhart Tolle says, I'm okay with my unhappiness.
Yeah.
If you're okay with your happiness, you can't really be unhappy.
And, like, I feel like part of
It's a
me is
weird-
maybe a bit of an emotional masochist because there are days where I like to feel sad. I like
It's
to feel sad.
important.
I'm like, let me put on some good music and, like, sit here staring out the window feeling sorry for myself, and it feels so nice. And I'll be okay a couple days later, but damn,
Yeah.
let me be in my feels. I get to do that.
Totally.
You know?
Oh man, I like. There's a Alan Watts has a lecture. He talks about how like he's like you suffer because you enjoy it. Like the more you do something, the more your brain
Your
does
voice-
it, and you suffer because your brain
yeah.
is used to suffering. So your brain is used to feeling that suffering. So you
Totally.
go back to that feeling a lot when you can learn how to feel other things. There's just so much of it is feeling instead of
Yeah.
thinking. And then that was last week.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Yeah, I'm so
If
happy
anyone
to.
has any questions to wrap, I loved having you here, and we have had most people, anyone who tuned in, stayed in on average for 13 minutes. So that's
a lot
amazing.
of us talking.
Yeah, we
That's
have had
really
the view
incredible.
time of people watching this has been 10 hours or 7 hours total.
That's amazing.
So thank you everyone for watching.
Yay,
Thank you
thank
for clicking on our
you.
show, being a part of it. Yeah, this is Relaxing with Rachel. Next week we have Julia Bartel. She is going to be here, and we're going to talk about leaving religion. And like her and I met at a place in life where we were both just started going to secular university, and we both were in like quite serious relationships. I was with a boy, and she was with a
Thank you.
girl. I was in a relationship with a girl. Thank you, Thomas Knox. We rock. You rock for commenting. Also, so me and Julia are going to be on next show. She's a wonderful florist. Her passion in life is flowers. She's so interesting. She's so funny. Her and I met at a point where we were leaving Christianity at the same time. Like
did
we
not know that
both
about
were
her.
just like up and
Oh,
out.
I'm so excited.
And like all of her art, she's from art. I know her from University Art School. So all of her art, University Art School, University of the Fraser Valley, like visual arts department, and she like did this one art piece. It was so cool. Maybe I'll like get her to bring it in. That'd be amazing. It's like in a Bible in a box, and then like the world's over here.
Whoa.
I was just like, yes.
Damn.
Anyway, she's got some cool stories up her sleeve.
yeah.
We're gonna talk about the traumatic process of actually like for me it was like what evolution and like sexuality like what is that? You know, you just kind of like there's a whole world no one taught me about. That's a traumatic place to be in and of itself.
It's really terrifying. Yeah.
Well, there are answers. If you're watching and you don't feel like you have answers, there are some. A few. You'll probably have to learn them yourself
No
the hard way.
knowledge.
But if you have questions, we'll answer them. All right. Thank you so much for watching. You rock. Peace and love. Tune into our show next week. I personally would love to have you back. Maybe we'll have you back soon. Couple weeks. Awesome. Peace and love. And sunshine. It's beautifully sunny out today. All right. I press stop. Our live was 1 hour, 18 minutes,
Nice.
39 seconds.
That's
Our average
awesome.
live view was 13 minutes and 50 seconds. Total view time 7 hours, and the most people at one time was 10.
Yay!
So cool.
That's awesome.
I thought I stopped streaming. Didn't I press that? We're like, yeah, we already